The city of Wyoming, the voters there will be voting at fewer precincts starting with tomorrow's election. The local election has several school bond proposals on that ballot.
News 8's Kyle Mitchell in studio with why the city says it's making this change. Kyle.
Brian and Sue, the Wyoming clerk says the move will improve efficiency and still provide plenty of locations for people to vote.
With the clock counting down to Election Day.
Back in August, we made some changes, and those changes involved a consolidation of our precincts from 30 to 18.
Kelly Vandenberg, the Wyoming city clerk, says some voters will be casting their ballot at a different location on Election Day after 12 precincts were eliminated.
That was primarily triggered by legislation. That legislation was approved in December of 2023. And it basically allows us to have a larger cap of voters per precinct. Previously, that number was 2,999, and now it's 4,999.
Wyoming decided to make a change for the first time with this year's November local election ahead of the 2026 statewide election, with the goal of making adjustments following an election which typically sees a lower turnout.
So my hope is by having 18 that we're able to have more inspectors, maybe a better voting experience, higher quality type scenario. You know, just logistically speaking, it takes a lot less equipment. There are certain supplies that we can cut back on, so there's opportunity for some cost savings through this as well.
How people vote in Michigan has changed in recent years with options like no-reason absentee voting, which was approved by voters in 2018.
Of course, I think COVID inspired a lot of people to try absentee voting come 2020, and then in 2022, then Proposal 2 was approved, and that gave us a whole slew of election changes, including early voting.
Early in-person voting in Michigan is only required for state and federal elections. In this election, Wyoming allows people to vote early by absentee ballot. Vandenberg says the city's working to make the process as smooth as possible.
But I think overall it should be a similar experience. For me as clerk, I've had elections where it's a smaller scale election and we might have just a handful of voters show up at that precinct. And so there's definitely some opportunity for efficiency, having more voters turn out at a precinct.
We spoke with some voters in Wyoming who didn't want to go on camera. Some were not aware of the change. Others want to see how the city will be able to keep the lines moving with fewer precinct locations. If you want to learn how you can check your registration status or see what's on your ballot, we have a link in this story over on woodtv.com. Brian.